Call with small business leaders. We're pleased to welcome you to the call today and look forward to a lively discussion. I'd like to ask everybody in the room to introduce themselves so the folks on the phone know who is participating here live with us in Chairman Reed's office in Washington, D.C.
Great. Karen Kerrigan here with the President and CEO of the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council and Chair of the Small Business Roundtable.
I'm Todd McCracken. I'm the President and CEO of the National Small Business Association.
Hey everyone, it's Rep Puddle, the Executive Director of the Small Business Roundtable. We're the leading coalition for the main small business associations here in Washington, D.C.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Richard Garcia, Chief of Staff at the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and we just shared that we work with over 200 Hispanic chambers of commerce from across the country, Hispanic business enterprises, and of course, corporate partners, and that represent over 4.37 million Hispanic-owned businesses in the U.S.
Hello, everyone. I'm Christina Conmas, also with the Small Business Roundtable.
David Fogel, Chief of Staff at the Export-Import Bank.
Steve Rana, Chief Banking Officer at the Ex-Im Bank.
Chilling Tong, President and CEO of Asian Pacific Islander American Chamber of Commerce and Entrepreneurship. We represent 1.9 million Asian business owners.
I'm Mario Ramirez. I'm a Director of the Working Capital Program under the Small Business Division for the Export-Import Bank.
Tamara Maxwell, Director of Minority and Women-Owned Business Outreach within the Small Business Division of Ex-Im Bank.
I'm Amy Schenkman. I'm the Vice President of Export Credit Insurance at Ex-Im Bank.
I'm Jim Barroz. I'm the Senior Vice President of the Office of Small Business here at Ex-Im Bank.
And my name is Luke Lindberg, Senior Vice President of External Engagement here at the Export-Import Bank of the United States. And it's my distinct pleasure to introduce our President and Chairman, Kimberly Reed.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm pleased that we have this opportunity to bring together leaders and advocates for U.S. small businesses. This sector is so important to me personally and to our country. And we're thrilled to discuss how Ex-Im can best support the export of American products and services. In recent years, the bulk of our work here at Ex-Im has been on behalf of U.S. small businesses. Since 2015, Congress has mandated that 25% of Ex-Im authorizations support small business, and I'm pleased to say that we far exceed this mandate. The vast majority of our transactions, some 90%, directly support small businesses. In the last two fiscal years, 2018 and 2019, Ex-Im has approved more than $2 billion of authorizations in each fiscal year. We're also committed to supporting businesses owned by women and minorities and created the Minority and Women-Owned Business Division in 1999 to serve these critical areas. In 2018 and 2019, Ex-Im authorized nearly $1 billion to support minority and women-owned businesses. And since we observed Veterans Day this week, I'd also like to note that in 2018 and 2019, we have authorized nearly $60 million in support of veteran-owned small businesses. You may be thinking these must be huge deals, but they're not. No deal is too small for us. In fiscal year 2018, for instance, more than half our small business transactions involved amounts under $500,000, and hundreds of companies were first-time customers of our agency's products. To build on this success, one of our goals of today's roundtable is to open up the dialogue on how we can reform our products to better meet your needs of small business. Please seize this as an open invitation to engage with Ex-Im directly on this reform agenda. Our teams are ready to engage. We are working with congressional leaders as well to ensure the reauthorization of Ex-Im so that we can continue to support our U.S. exports. I'm pleased to report that the President has publicly stated his support for Ex-Im. Just last week, President Trump stated that he would like to see a long-term 10-year reauthorization of this agency. I look forward as well to working with other agencies and stakeholders, including everyone here today in person and on the phone, to ensure the continuation of this agency's impactful work at home and abroad. I've been on the job now 6 months after a great Senate confirmation process where I testified twice before the U.S. Congress. And in both of those hearings, I underscored my personal commitment to America's small businesses. I come from rural West Virginia. I grew up in a family that was successful and still is because of small business in my community. And it was a priority for me so much that the first roundtable I hosted here, after becoming the head of XM, was a small business roundtable with small businesses from West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. And you can read about that press release, about that meeting that we had in a press release on our website. I also wanted to quickly put together our external XM Advisory Committee, where we give an emphasis to small business. And I have the pleasure of working with our chair, the Honorable Stephen Pierce, former member of the House of Representatives, but also a small business person in New Mexico. We also have on our advisory committee, and hopefully on the call today, Richard Rogovian, who's Chairman and General Counsel of U.S. Bridge in Cambridge, Ohio. He also has attended a few events that I've done around the country, in Texas and in Ohio. So Richard is a great addition, as is Christopher Smith, Executive Director for Parity for Main Street Employers, and Kathy Leonard, President and CEO of Auburn Manufacturing Incorporated, which is based in Mechanic Falls, Maine. And she was at our recent advisory board meeting on October 30th and spoke loud and clear about the importance of small business textile industry in this country and what we should be doing to help companies like hers succeed. And I can't tell you how much I enjoy prioritizing small business with our 400 staff here at XM. With us today is Jim Burrows, who's a bright star on our staff, who heads up our small business division. And we have so many people at the table today and in the building who care about small business. Our brand new Chief Banking Officer, Stephen Renna, also has prioritized small business as he oversees our big deals and our small deals. I've been asked time and time again what matters, and our mission is helping keep America strong by supporting every worker in our country where we need to be competing in being successful around the world. And so I just want to say thank you to them. I've also given the direction to beef up our boots on the ground in our field offices around the country. I have spent time with our field staff, and I know that when you're a small business and you want to figure out how to export for the first time, you're going into your community bank and dealing at the community level. And so we really want to be helpful for all of that. And so I really thank you for taking the time today. It's been 6 months since I've started, but it's been every day of my professional career dedicated to helping small businesses thrive in our country. So with that, I'd love to kick it over to Karen Kerrigan.
Well, great. Thank you so much, Chairman Reed, for having us here today at the Small Business Roundtable. And I'm very excited to hear, I'm sure all of us are, that small business runs in your blood. And you can tell by your presentation how passionate you are about that, which is, just to have another bonus of you running this very important entity for small business. All I would say is this, is that given the global platform-based economy, that more than ever, small and mid-sized businesses have the opportunity to go global. And they're looking at those opportunities. I think it's wonderful that, we're right now in the process of hopefully advancing USMCA and looking at other trade deals. But those opportunities are also made possible because of the work of XM, the XM Bank. So we think it's very important that we share the goal of long-term authorization and just having that certainty for small businesses so they can take advantage of these explosive opportunities in the global marketplace. So with that, I'll turn it over to you and your staff, and we look forward to the engagement on what we can do to work with you to get the word out, but also support everything that you're doing here in terms of your outreach and work with America's small business owners.
Thank you, Karen. This is Luke Lindbergh again, and it's my pleasure to kick it over here to Jim Burrows, our Senior Vice President of Small Business.
Thank you, Luke. Good afternoon. I'm Jim Burrows. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm the Senior Vice President here at XM for the Office of Small Business. We have roughly 80 hardworking staffers here at XM dedicated to small business. For fiscal year 2019, we authorized 2,091 small business transactions totaling $2.2 billion. XM's authorizations for fiscal year 19 were 27% of total authorization dollars for the bank, representing, like Chairman Reed said, 90% of the transactions authorized during that fiscal year. Since Chairman Reed was sworn in on May 9th, 2019 through the close of business yesterday, November 12th, the agency supported roughly 1,000 small business transactions totaling $1.1 billion, but more importantly, supporting approximately 8,800 American jobs. Thank you for the time for allowing me to go over, giving you an overview of the small business group here at XM. We have three main operating objectives here at the bank. First, ensuring that our products meet our client needs. The agency is always looking for ways to improve existing products and identify gaps in the private sector. As part of XM's commitment to change management, Steve Renner, our Chief Banking Officer, established Tiger Teams to review our existing products and identify opportunities to assist American small businesses in our export initiatives. Secondly, the agency is continuing to look for ways to find new clients, including finding better data sources and leveraging our multiplier networks. In collaboration with one of our strongest partners, the Department of Commerce, we recently developed a real-time data exchange through our customer relationship management system, Salesforce. It allows us to pass real-time clients back and forth. So if the Department of Commerce is doing a gold key or reverse trade mission, they can pass them over to XM, and we can follow up with financing options to our mutual clients. Third, we strive to accelerate and have the best transaction experience to our customers, specifically through technology modernization. The agency is working to deploy something called a VDR, a virtual data room, for electronic exchange of documents with our lenders in the Working Capital Guarantee Program. These kind of enhancements enrich our client experience overall and increase our ease of doing business. Within the Office of Small Business, we have a talented team. Some of them I have here today. Amy Shinkman is our Vice President of Export Credit Insurance. Her team works with businesses and insurance brokers to underwrite all short-term insurance policies for XM. We have Steve Freshour is our Vice President of Business Credit, works with our lenders to administer the Working Capital Guarantee Program. Mario Ramirez is here with us today, and we'll talk about that program in a few minutes. We have Tamara Maxwell. She's our Director of Minority and Women-Owned Business. Her group provides hands-on education and outreach to business owned by minority, women, and veteran businesses throughout the U.S. She also handles a newly established unit that we set up this year called the Client Care Unit. That unit is an outreach team that reaches out to new and existing clients to ensure that those businesses are fully utilizing the XM insurance policies that they have and get the full benefit of those. Sean Luke is our Vice President of Sales and Outreach. He oversees our regional field offices and works with businesses all over the country to educate customers about trade finance products and what's available to them. And then the last manager that reports to me, Tamika Ray, she's our Director of Operations here at our headquarters building. She manages and supports the call center, our training and logistics group here at the bank. All our products and services here at XM are available to all size businesses, but the two most popular programs that we sell here at XM that benefit small businesses are pre-export finance, that's our Working Capital Guarantee Program, and our post-export finance program, which is Export Credit Insurance. Mario Ramirez is here from the Business Credit Union. He's going to give you a quick overview of the Working Capital Program, and I'll turn it over for a few minutes to Mario.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mario Ramirez. We know that small businesses always have trouble getting financing, right? And especially if they're selling abroad, if they're exporting, much more difficult. So that's where XM Bank steps in. What we do is we provide a 90% guarantee to the lender for principal and interest so that they'll make that small business loan. Otherwise, small business will not be able to get that financing. So our mission is to support these exporters through a guarantee of their facility to the lender. Once the lender has that guarantee, they're willing to take that foreign repayment risk and they're going to make that loan. So it's pre-export financing. It allows the small business borrower to manufacture that product or that sale, and the lender and thus makes that loan. And what we do is we deliver our product through lenders. Since we're providing a guarantee, we work with lenders throughout the country. We call them delegated authority lenders, and they make loans, on our behalf. And there is no minimum and there is no maximum. It just so happens that about 80 to 90% of the transactions that we've done have historically gone to small businesses. So one of the things that we're doing is reaching out to more lenders, thereby reaching more exporters.
Thanks, Mario. I'm now going to turn it over to Amy Shinkman, who is our VP of Export Credit Insurance. She's going to talk a little bit about insurance.
Hi, this is Amy Schenkman. Thank you all for joining the call, with those of you on the phone and here in person. As Jim mentioned, my division is responsible for underwriting all the short-term export credit insurance policies offered by Ex-Im Bank. We have about 2,000 active policies, and about 75% of what we do is directly supporting small businesses. So a lot of people maybe don't know what export credit insurance is, so I'll try to explain it in a quick minute if I can. What we offer is an insurance policy, which is offering cover to exporters or lenders, maybe to a whole portfolio of their customers or to one specific customer, and we're covering the non-payment by their foreign buyer for their products that they've exported. And as Jim mentioned, we cover short-term export credit insurance in my division. So that means it's any product that an exporter might sell on 30, 60, 90, 180-day terms. So we're not supporting, a big project that takes 10 years or an airplane that you need 20 years to pay for. We're supporting maybe agriculture, manufactured goods, commodities, spare parts, food, anything that their foreign buyers can turn into cash in a shorter period of time. At Ex-Im Bank, in all of our programs, we're always very careful to take our mandate about not competing with the private sector very seriously. So there's a couple of main reasons typically that small business exporters would come to us for export credit insurance. Probably the biggest reason is if their transaction is too small for a private sector insurer or bank to really to be able to cover what they need. The other reason would be maybe it's a larger buyer, or it's a difficult country that they're selling to, and so there isn't that capacity or risk appetite available in the private sector. In general, the reasons the exporters come to us would be for risk protection, so they're worried that their foreign buyer is not going to pay them. They could be coming to us because their bank has required that they come to us for financing, or they could be coming to us because their foreign buyer has requested credit terms and they're not used to doing that, and maybe they're in competition with an exporter from another country who's able to offer that. So that's kind of my quick introduction.
And one of the key areas or sectors that you did mention was we also cover services.
Yes, it can be goods and services. So all of our export credit insurance products, goods and services, all has to be U.S. content. So in the case of goods, it has to be shipped from the U.S., have at least 50% U.S. content. In the case of services, the service has to be performed by a U.S. employee with an I-9 form who's performing the service overseas.
Great, thanks, Amy. Sure. And then I also want to introduce Tamara Maxwell. I had mentioned she's our Director of Minority and Women-Owned Business. I would like to turn it over to her briefly so she can talk about all the good work her and her team does on behalf of minority women and veterans across this country.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you guys for joining us today. Minority and women-owned businesses at the group has been with Ex-Im Bank, as Chairman Reed said, since 1999. And since 1999, we've grown from a one-person shop, and now we have 6 people that are dedicated solely to outreach and educate minority and women-owned businesses, including veteran businesses. And we do that with only having 6 people, it's impossible for us to reach all of the minority and women-owned businesses. So we do that by partnering and collaborating with minority and women-owned business organizations, such as the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and as Schilling organization. We partner with them. We attend not all, but most of their events, mainly the annual conferences, and we try to have speaking roles on their panels so that we can educate the businesses about who we are and what we do. It's very difficult having such a small staff to meet everyone. So we also go into each chapter to educate the people who are in the chapters so that they can then go out and talk to the businesses that are coming to their offices. So, and we provide webinars, symposiums, we attend conferences, we educate them not just on Ex-Im, but we educate them on the government services that are providing export assistance, as well as the states that they're in. What we realize is that a lot of the minority and women-owned businesses are just getting started, so they may not qualify for Ex-Im Bank right away. So we help them get to the point where they do qualify for Ex-Im Bank. So it's a one-stop shop with our team. So we make sure that we know what's out there and what's available for minority and women-owned businesses as well as veteran-owned businesses. And it is very important to us, and we work very closely with Amy's team and the business credit team to make sure that we understand what XM can do for the businesses and to try to get them to understand exactly what the minority and women-owned businesses need, because their needs are even more than non-minority and women-owned businesses. So we work very closely as a team, and we thank you guys for including us in your programs and hope that we can continue to do so.
Thanks, Yamara. So the XM brand is supported by hundreds of lenders, insurance brokers, and multipliers across the U.S. We have 12 regional offices strategically placed around the country. As Chairman Reed mentioned in our open remarks, we're looking to staff up those offices. We actually have open jobs right now, and we're looking to actively fill those. But to connect to a lender or an insurance broker or a field office around the country, you can always log on to the World Wide Web at xm.gov. You can click on Contact Us at the upper right-hand corner, or Tools for Exporters in the upper right-hand corner, and you can reach one of our regional export offices or any one of our lenders or insurance brokers that work on behalf of XM around the country.
Jim, if you don't mind, I'd like to just add one comment. This is Steve Renna, the Chief Banking Officer. And we are very proud of the menu of products that we can provide for small business, but no one is perfect. Our products may not necessarily be perfect. Some of them haven't been reviewed and modified for many, many years. So as the chairman referred to in our comments and Jim alluded to as well, we are taking a comprehensive review of our products and our policies that guide how we offer our products to determine whether they are aligning well with businesses today and the way business is done today, because many of them were put in place 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And anyway, you're measuring in a lot of cases by decade. Yeah. And that's just a long time. And so we're undertaking that because we want to be responsive to what you need, because the name of the game is competitiveness. We want you to be able to compete in the business world by being able to access and having less trepidation in accessing foreign markets in order to sell your products and services. So as we go through this exercise, which while the recommendations that we've gotten have been done on an internal basis, they've been provided by people who are on the front lines with companies every day and are hearing back from you. But nevertheless, as we move forward in this process and start honing what we think the recommendations should be, we're going to want your input on that to make sure that we prioritize things right, that we're kind of got it framed up right. So, you know, with this effort, that initiative that we're undertaking, we can get it as right as possible so you folks are in the best position to compete better with our support.
And this is Kimberly Reed again. I mentioned our advisory committee members who represent small business. Many of them are on the call today, but I also wanted to underscore the importance of our community banks and wanted to be sure that you all know that I think Alex Sanchez, who's president and CEO of the Florida Bankers, also is on our advisory committee, was to be on the call today. And one of my first jobs in government was working at the Treasury Department as the head of an entity called the Community Development Financial Institutions Fund, where I worked with our community banks, our community credit unions, low-income credit unions, basically to provide capital, tax credits, and loans to the poorest parts of our country here. And so in addition to having great groups like the Florida Bankers Association involved, I attended the board meeting of the CDFI Fund this year. It was their 25th anniversary. And I brought over from that board meeting 3 board members of the CDFI Fund, because I really want to see that linkage at the community level, and it will make me so happy someday. And Jim and Tammy, I'm going to look to you to help us see one of our CDFIs help exporters come up through the system of Treasury, but then to help them export. I really look forward and challenge you to see if we can make that happen during my tenure here. But I want to thank also the independent community bankers. They have been a great champion along with the credit unions of what we do, and I know that they help our small businesses succeed. So thank you.
Thank you for the comment, small business team. Much appreciated for all your hard work you're doing on a daily basis. We are running a little bit close on time here, so I know that several of you have prepared questions for the group to discuss. Rhett, since you're sort of one of the leaders of coalescing these fine institutions together, maybe I'll start with you if you would mind jumping in now.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having us and thanks for the remarks. I think, one of the things we're mindful of is that long-term authorization is going to be really important. And so we obviously I see heads nodding around the table committed to letting folks know about your products and services, but in order to do that, we obviously need to make sure that we get long-term reauthorization. So we'd just love to hear from your perspective what would be helpful from the small business front and sort of sharing that message about long-term reauthorization, if there's anything from your insight about the importance of that as well.
So we're not allowed to ask you to lobby.
I would never ask that.
But I would just say, whether a member of Congress likes EXIM or not, because of philosophical reasons, free market reasons, I would say that every single member of Congress has underscored the value of what we do to help small businesses succeed and compete. And so I think sharing those stories, I know we have here David Fogel, our Chief of Staff, and he traveled with me to Lexington, Kentucky, where we were with Congressman Andy Barr. And Andy Barr was at a round table where we brought in those small businesses, and we visited some of them. And sharing those stories with members of Congress at their district level, I think that really helps. And you see where a small business, because of EXIM financing, we allow them to compete globally, and they create more jobs. So we visited this company called Deco Art Paints. And because of what EXIM does, they compete all around the world, even in markets like Saudi Arabia, where craft painting is very popular. And without EXIM, we were told that it would just really not be good for the company, and it would not be good for the town. And the town is very small. And so not only do we help support the jobs, but then the community around it. So I think sharing those stories is the best thing that any of us can do, because it's all about our workers.
Chairman, I think the CEO of the company said about 1/3 of their workforce would have to be laid off without EXIM financing.
Mm-hmm. When you look at where that town is and how small it is, that's huge. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Rhett. And Schilling, I know you also prepared a question in advance or have some thoughts here, so why don't you jump in next?
Sure.
Please.
EXIM Bank provides invaluable support to the minority business community. And for the past year, I have a privilege to work with your team, the leadership from the Office of Small Business, Tammy, Michael Jackson. I tell you, you have a great staff, and they work very, very hard to make sure, to fulfill the mission. We would like to know, because even in California, a minority will become majority. So we would like to see what is the plan for the future, especially expand the operations of minority and the women's division.
So I would say we're being looked at for reauthorization right now. Our lending authority allows us to do $135 billion right now. And right now we're about, staff help me here, I just got briefed on this today.
54
billion. So right now we're at 54 billion. We can go to 135 billion right now. And if we get small businesses around our country learning about us, wanting to learn to compete, our staff wants to help you, we judge every application based on the merit. And so this is a world of competition. We have 112 competing export credit agencies around the world. It's trying to bring the jobs in the export business to their shores. And so we want to be sure we're doing all we can to help you. So every application that comes in, we judge on the merits. Of course, we want to protect the taxpayer. We have a 0.5% default rate. And we know that the small business deals are the ones that take a lot more hand-holding and a lot more risk, and because you're helping them enter new markets, but we're willing to do that. And so you tell us how we can be helpful to you. I think it's awesome making the local banks aware of us, because that's often where you go when you first want to become an exporter. And I think our staff, what else can we be doing to get more small businesses up and exporting?
I think the most important thing is just getting the word out, allowing us an opportunity to speak at your conferences, your symposiums, your teleconferences. If we can write papers, put them on your website, web banners, link it back to XM. I think the most important thing is to get the word out that we're a tool in the toolbox for exporting and that we're here to assist American small businesses, all size businesses, in their export needs.
Perfect. We are just about out of time, but Richard and Todd, I want to give you both an opportunity. If you had any closing comments to make or thoughts, now would be your opportunity.
No, just thanks again for having us here, and it really speaks to Chairman Reed's vision and leadership for the organization that we sense a lot of openness on behalf of the chairman and the staff, of course, at XM, to take a look at absolutely everything and make sure that it fits the needs of the clients that you seek to serve. That's really welcome on our behalf, and I'm looking forward to working with you and, of course, Tammy a little bit more. I know that some members of our team have visited some of our events before, our legislative summit and such, so thanks again for having us here.
Yeah, this is Todd. I would just say that we've been longtime supporters of the bank. We're really happy to be here. And one of the great things about the bank is all the partnerships you do leverage across the Department of Commerce or the banks that you're partnering with. But of course, that underscores the need to have a long-term authorization to maintain those relationships over time. So that's why we've also worked really hard to get that done too.
Thank you. Thank you. Karen, Chairman, either one of you closing remarks?
Well, this is Karen, and I will just say thank you so much, Chairman Reed, both you and the team, to be able to get together with you. And we look forward to, a lot of engagement and doing what we can to get the word out and to support what you do. We know you're doing great work here. And so we look forward to a long-term future relationship with you in helping our America's small businesses grow and succeed in the global marketplace.
Well, thank you so much. And I want to be sure you know about our annual conference. It happens, I believe it's April 2 and 3 of this coming year, 2020. I've attended twice as a guest because I was a nominee. And so now finally we get to welcome you with a fully reopened bank. And I think that we're going to work on a program that provides a lot of value. Normally, I think there's been about 900 attendees since I've participated. So my goal is more than 1,000. And I know that we're going to have a special focus on small business and what we can do on those fronts. So we're still open for suggestions. And if you have ideas of some programming that we could offer during this 2-day conference that would help small businesses be more successful, happy to take those comments now or offline. But we're doing all we can to ensure that we're keeping America strong through XM. And we want to invite you to that, and we'll probably have some of you participate in the programming. And for the small businesses on the call, or who may be listening to the recorded tape of this, share your stories with us. But also, call us anytime when there is something that we can do better for you. I'm committed to good customer service, and we hate to have red tape. We need to protect the taxpayer, but we want to make things easy for you and for potential exporters. So you just call us anytime, and I'm going to give my card to each of you, and just be sure that we're doing what we need to be doing. We don't want to compete with you as well. We want to help you succeed. And we also do that by guaranteeing the loans that the private sector is able to do. But then these great programs with lines of credit, export credit insurance, many, many things that we offer. And we look forward to a bright future for our USA, made in USA, exported around the world. So thank you very much.